stuff. And welcome to Len McCluskey, leader of Unite, just coming to the studio. Len, hi.
Hi.
Good to see you. We off air there, we were talking really about football. I think it's a kind of therapy, isn't it, at this time now?
Well, it's the real world. And I agree with Andrew. We're keeping our fingers crossed that Liverpool can just stay ahead of City, and it will be a great, great year indeed.
Yeah, I don't mind a bias in favour of Liverpool in this studio one bit, actually, without...
I feel like a lone Spurs voice here. Like, all of you are like enjoying being in like consistent great form, and I'm like, yeah, Spurs are like the bad boyfriend of my life. I just keep going back no matter how badly he treats me. Yeah, and that's the thing. Then he turns up with flowers and says, "Baby, take me back," and I'm like, yeah.
This week's show keeps trying to talk itself into a football program, so I'm going to drag it back to politics.
Something's happening in football. Brexit, everything's the same.
That's an actually perfectly good point, Len. So getting back to that. Let's talk Labour. Labour MPs, I mentioned this at the top of the show, they are, it seems, poised to break away from the party. Not a huge number from all you hear, but a number. And now you've seen that the ex-MP and Labour frontbencher, Michael Duggar, he's torn up his party card, Len. I don't know if he's torn it up. He may be framing it for all I know, but he's left the party. This, I can see by your face, it's saddened your heart.
Yes, I'm going to lose a lot of sleep over that. It reminds me, Duggar's position reminds me a little bit. A couple of months ago, I was asked, oh my God, what do you think of Frank Field leaving the Labour Party? And my reply was, I thought Frank left the Labour Party about 30 years ago. Look, Duggar is not going to be missed. And you are right about the preparatory work being done to allow people to leave the party. John, I've been a member of the Labour Party for nearly 50 years, and there are occasions I've agonised about leaving the party. And I had
seriously? Were you actually seriously about to do it at any point?
Yeah, I've agonised on a number of occasions, and a mate of mine said to me, for God's sake, Lenny, stop whinging and moaning. If you're going to leave, and if you're not, stay.
Yeah.
And that's my, and argue your line, and that's my position with these MPs. If you're going to leave, for God's sake, get on with it and stop pestering us through the media and through the TV, and let the rest of us fight for a better Britain, or stay and help us.
I don't think you whinge and whine. I think it's just the way you talk. Whatever happened to the idea of a broad church, the Labour Party being a broad church? I don't remember when Jeremy Corbyn was on the backbenches and voting against the leadership every single time. I don't remember people saying, clear off. No one thought about doing it.
Except the reality is that in those circumstances, Corbyn and co never attacked the leader in the horrible personal way that is being done now by some of these
nothing but attack the leadership.
No, that's not true. They attack the actual policies. You're seeing at the moment the constant undermining of Corbyn. Corbyn's to blame for everything. It's sunny today, so maybe they won't blame him for the weather, but normally they do. The reality is that we've got a difficult situation in relation to Brexit. Corbyn, I believe, has navigated Labour brilliantly through an extremely difficult situation. You've got 150 Labour MPs who come from Leave constituencies, 100 MPs who come from Remain constituencies, and trying to kind of navigate that is difficult. I think he's done brilliantly
if
so
there's
far.
A split, and most people think that's coming now, that will be damaging to Jeremy Corbyn's hopes of getting across the threshold of number 10. There's no way to varnish that. It would be damaging.
Well, obviously, a united party does better in the polls than a disunited party. But to be honest with you, I'm not sure some of these individuals have any great credibility anymore. I listened to Owen Smith. I mean, Chris Leslie, nobody takes any notice of him anymore. But I listened to Owen Smith saying he was going to leave. And I thought to myself, someone should remind Owen.
I don't think Owen Smith has said that.
Somebody should remind Owen that only 18 months ago he stood on a platform of taking us out of Europe, recognising and respecting the referendum results. And I can't understand his line now. It increased his majority, best personal result he's ever had. I mean, these people don't seem to me to have any sustainable credibility. So we'll wait and see what damage it does or it doesn't.
Len, do you think Jeremy Corbyn
Andrew
can be the Prime Minister?
Oh, undoubtedly. I mean, 18 months ago, 40% of the nation thought so as well. At a time when he was supposed to be getting destroyed, he went out and seen the people. Instead of the nonsense that we see in the media every single day, look what the Mail on Sunday are doing about that ridiculous book that Tom Bauer has actually done. Every single day he was getting attacked. As soon as he went out during the general election and met the people, 40%. The convention, sorry, Andrew, the convention, the consensus was that had that election lasted another fortnight, Corbyn would have been Prime Minister. So, yes, of course he can.
That's a bit like saying if the game had ended at half-time, we'd have won. It's not, it didn't.
A fair point, but remember there was 2 terrible terrorist incidents during that campaign as well. And it was a campaign that Labour was supposed to be annihilated, never to return.
Where would his route to 10 Downing Street be? How do you see it? Where would he get? He's got this far, more surprising than anybody expected in the last election. Where would that extra 5-10% come from?
That's the $64,000 question. Labour's manifesto last time was a fantastic manifesto, radical, offering hope to everybody, and he has to do that more. I mean, since then he's been out. He goes out every Thursday, gets away from Westminster, and goes to visit constituencies, the top 75 marginal constituencies, and I think that's the type of issue that Labour continues to pursue, trying to make a further breakthrough in Scotland. And I believe that whenever the general election comes, whether it's quickly or whether we have to wait 2.5 years, then Corbyn will win it.
Tim?
Well, I want to thank you, Len, for cheering this sort of demoralised Conservative up. I think we've got problems as a party, but the way you talk about other Labour Party members makes us look like a happy family. And
would you really believe that?
I do. Well, the way you talk about some of your, former Labour MPs, existing Labour MPs, is quite something. And it sort of comes back to something that Andrew and I were talking about in the break. The Tory party has its problems, and Brexit is huge, and I'm not going to deny it. But I can see a possibility that once we get over Brexit, fingers crossed, that the party can unite. But for the Labour Party, it's not just Brexit and the second referendums. It's Islamic extremism, it's fundamental attitudes to the market economy, it's civil liberties, it's attitudes towards Israel and America. Your party is fundamentally split in a way that isn't true of the Conservative Party, and an emergence of a new centrist party of some kind seems sensible and will make that challenge that Andrew issued to you, how do you get that extra 5%, almost impossible.
That's wishful thinking on your behalf. Since Corbyn was elected, Labour is now the largest political party in the whole of Europe, while your particular membership in the Conservative Party declines dramatically.
You're not really addressing my point, though. I asked you specifically about ideological splits, and you're talking about something.
You've got a vibrancy within the Labour Party that doesn't exist in any other political party. And you know what? When you get out into the real world, when you get away from your metropolitan bubble that you're in, you will find that people are desperately looking for hope. Corbyn offers that hope, and there's a significant amount of unity within our party supporting
and a significant amount, Len, of venom. I mean, you talk about the Tory party being split, which it manifestly is, deeply and badly. And listening to Tim there talking about when we get over Brexit, for some reason, the image swam through my mind of 2 woolly mammoths talking and saying, well, when we get over the Ice Age, it's all going to be fine. But still, the Labour Party. The row about anti-Semitism is not a London thing. It extends, and it's at its hottest in your own city of Liverpool, as you know.
I think that's unfair. The situation in Liverpool, Luciana, the idea that you would move a vote of no confidence against a woman who's 8 months pregnant is stupid, and I'm glad it's been withdrawn. But to suggest that the vote of no confidence is because she has been campaigning against anti-Semitism or she is Jewish herself is simply wrong, and it's unfair to the constituents and to the members in Waventry Labour Party. I read a front page, I think it might have been the Mail again, talking about Corbyn's relationship with the man who's attacking Luciana. This man happens to be the chairman of the constituency Labour Party, who happens to be Jewish and who is deeply offended at the fact that he's being accused of anti-Semitism.
But there's an awful lot of venom in that particular
The venom comes from the fact that most people on the left, the progressive left, support the Palestinian cause. I do. I support the Palestinian people. What's happening in Palestine is an outrage, and I am deeply critical of the most right-wing Israeli government. Now, there are those who want to acquaint the fact that if you are critical of Israel, that is anti-Semitic, and that is outrageous. Of course it isn't. And therefore, those people...
I think what I'm saying, Len, is it's not just about that, conflating a position on Palestine, Israel with anti-Semitism. There is some of it which is simply anti-Semitic. When you look at the stuff that flies around on social media and directed to MPs, including
the new General Secretary of the Labour Party has made it her priority to deal with this. And she's brought in a QC. She's doubled the amount of people on the NCC which deals with these issues. She's cleared the backlog. And her message and my message to any anti-Semites in the Labour Party is get out. This is our party. We don't want a single one of you in here.
Ash.
I mean, so I've got a question from the left, actually, because the problem, I think, with lots of these ding-dong rows is that there's not very much intellectual curiosity about why is it that people are engaged and what gets people engaged in Labour Party politics. And I do think that there is a potential tension coming up in terms of what is the kind of manifesto that Labour would campaign on next time, because the maths are clear. 78% of the seats that Labour need to nab off the Tories to get a majority are found in Leave voting constituencies. The views of the membership on the EU issue are very, very different. So is it possible to have a manifesto commitment on Brexit which will win over those Leave voting constituencies and also energise your base enough to get them out door knocking for you? Because the membership's been Labour's great strength. Unfortunately, skeletons aren't very good at door knocking, and that's where the Tory party will suffer.
Yeah, great question, Ash. The reality is, of course, Corbyn did that 18 months ago. Labour's platform 18 months ago was to recognise and respect the referendum result. Had Corbyn become Prime Minister, we would now be exiting the European Union, but we would do so on a deal that effectively united the nation. It would be a deal that the 48% were comfortable with in relation to jobs and a customs union, which is key to my union and to my members and to the 52% who voted Leave. So we'll have to have that debate. It's the Tories who have absolutely made an absolute mess of this. And those commentators that try to suddenly blame Corbyn, he's the one responsible for actually delivering and being the midwife of Brexit, is deeply, deeply unfair. It's the Tories who've made a mess of it. Which is precisely why, by the way, my union seeks a general election. The only way to get us out of this mess is to go back for the real people's vote, a general election. And I believe in those circumstances we would have a Labour government that will unite our nation.
Okay, stick with us, Len, if you would, just for the last.